Mental Health Awareness Month, and we wanted to take the time to discuss the correlation between our financial well-being and mental health and what we can do to maintain a healthy balance of both by being fiscally sound. I would like to thank the President of our Board of Commissioners, John O'Grady, Commissioner Erica C. Crawley, and Commissioner Kevin L. Boyce for their continuous support, as well as County Administrator Kenneth Wilson and Chief Economic Equity and Inclusion Officer D'Amica Withers. I have the pleasure of introducing Perry Jeffries III, President and Lead CFO of Diamond Equity Advisors. Mr. Jeffries is a former school teacher and personal trainer that has dedicated his life to helping others. Mr. Perry has earned the credential of becoming a mastery level certified profit first professional, and in 2022 was named Marketer of the Year out of 600 profit first professionals across the globe. Mr. Perry has been featured on Fox 28 Columbus in the segment Financially Fit Fridays with Perry, where he provided entertaining yet thought-provoking content to individuals and businesses on a weekly basis. As a traditional financial advisor, Mr. Perry's firm offers financial planning, asset management, investing, insurance, and retirement planning to individuals and businesses. Welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank the county and all the powers that be. Such an important topic. So glad to lend my expertise and my thoughts on the topic. So I'm excited to get started with you here. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, let's dive right in. If we could begin, can you please discuss why financial planning is so important?
Yeah. So financial planning is one of those terms where depending on the environment that you're in, it's going to have, a different meaning or a different connotation, right? How we explain financial planning to our clients is this. Financial planning is simply the framework around how you make financial decisions. So let me just pause for a second and add some clarity to that. If you were to, and I get hit up all the time with these conversations. Hey, Perry, what's a great stock idea? What's a good stock? Well, there's a lot of stocks out there making money, right? There's a million and one ways to make money, but how does it fit into your overall financial plan? And that's when people usually stare at me like a deer in headlights, like, no, I just want to know what's a good investment to make money. Well, how does it fit into your plan? So the deal is when you don't have a financial plan, you don't have a framework to make financial decisions. Case in point, you go to retire and you have your money in your STRS or your OPERS or your deferred account. What is the framework that tells you what you should do with those dollars, right? When it's time to buy a house, what is the framework where you make the decision on how much you should put down or what type of mortgage you should get, or, whether it's a tax situation. So what a financial plan simply is, it's not this woo-woo thing that's only for wealthy people and businesses and things of that nature. It's a framework for you to make a sound financial decision. But within that same framework, for a financial plan to be effective, you have to have a financial goal. So what I tell my folks and my clients and our following is this. You have to have alignment with your financial goal. So if you tell me, hey, my goal is to be financially free by the age 40, okay, great. And then we look at your finances and all of your money, 99% of your money is in a retirement plan that you can't touch till you're 60, where you have misalignment. Your actions are not lined up with the goal. So again, that's where the financial plan comes into play. It's a framework around how you make financial decisions, so you're just not throwing stuff on the wall and hoping it sticks. And then having a goal, and you can have multiple financial goals. I want to send my kid to college. I want to pay off my debt. I want to retire at 50. I want to live in Costa Rica. Whatever your goal is, right? Okay, are your actions in alignment with that goal? And more times than not, when we start working with people, we find out it is total misalignment. You're saying you want to do this, but your actions and the way you are set up are totally misaligned. So that's that's the simple way to say, hey, why is it so important to have a financial plan? So that you can make sound financial decisions and feel good about it.
Awesome. And thank you so much. You just touched on it, but if you can please reiterate, because it's so important when we're talking about what financial planning includes. Is it just for major corporations or the wealthy? Why does everyone need to do this?
So this is the piece that kind of just burns me up. So I've been in my industry 20 years. And when I first got into the industry, Leandra, back in when I first got my Series 7 license to be a stockbroker in 2003. So literally this is my 20-year anniversary. Um, Blacks made up less than 1% of the licensed financial advisors or stockbrokers across the country. Okay. And the reason I'm leading with this is because many believe that you have to be wealthy to have a financial plan. Literally, if you go Google and say, hey, when should you hire a financial planner? I've seen articles that says when you have $500,000 liquid. Well, when I got started in the industry 20 years ago, I didn't have $500,000 liquid. So that means I didn't deserve to work with a financial planner. And this is what I just hate about our industries, because we are led to believe that if you don't have $500,000 or $50,000 to invest, that that you don't deserve to work with a financial planner. And a lot of the companies make those minimums, right? Where they say, hey, if you don't have at least 250 or 300,000, you don't have a financial planner, you have a call center. So that's, I believe, why so many of us believe like, well, I don't make enough money to have a financial planner. Okay, that is so far from the truth, because how in the world did these individuals who have the $500,000 liquid get that money anyway? It didn't just land in their lap unless it was a financial plan and somebody had the parents and some life insurance and they received that, as an inheritance, which is a part of financial planning. But, how do you even get the $500,000 liquid if you don't have a plan? Because if you're just making, unprudent and temporary financial decisions and kind of just emotional and throwing stuff on the wall and hoping it sticks, you'll never get to the point to even have wealth to manage. So no, and I'm probably one of the few advisors who will say this, but no, financial planning is not for the wealthy, just for the wealthy. No, financial planning is not just for the corporations. My God, my daughters have a financial plan and these chicks are 13 years old. Right? When they get paid their money, they have a now, soon, and later on bucket. The now bucket, hey, this is the money I can spend now. The soon bucket, this is my savings. So if they want to save to get a pair of J's, okay. And the later on bucket, they're already investing in stock at 13. So they have a financial plan. So they don't have $500,000, but that framework lets them make good financial decisions, right? So they know, hey, I made $50, Pops paid me $50. Great. This is going to go here to spend. So I got $25 to spend. And then this is going to go into savings and this is going to investment now, sooner or later. Right. So no. And it just tears me up. And I know I get emotional about this one, Leandra, but it just burns me up that so many people need actual financial expertise and guidance and feel they don't deserve to get it because, we've been conditioned to believe that it's only for the wealthy. So, I could talk all day about, I could spend the next hour talking about this, but I know we need to get through some other questions, but no, it's not just for the wealthy and for corporations.
And thank you for laying that out. I think that's so fascinating, especially when you discuss how you already have started the process for your children. It can start that young. So thank you for pointing that out. If we can take a step when we talk about the correlation between mental health and our finances, and it's like, could you discuss what role does our financial situation take on our mental health?
Yeah. So great topic. And my disclosure is, I'm not a mental health specialist. So I'll keep that out the gate, right? Let me say that out the gate. But with that being said, after 20 years of being in the industry and being, the kind of the financial go-to person for many of families, I would tell you this, it has a huge correlation. So I would even ask the listeners this question. I'll answer your question with a question. Listeners who are checking this out, right? What keeps you up at night? Right? I know me personally, what keeps me up at night, okay, I got to pay this bill. How are we going to get this money for this mortgage, right? Trying to close on this house. I need, $50,000 down. I don't have it. My kids wants to play AAU. How am I going to afford that? Like when you start thinking about the things that keep you up at night and that anxiety and stuff that weighs on your mind when you try to lay down, a lot of times, and again, not being a specialist in this space, but I wouldn't be surprised if those things that keep you up at night, that your finances is maybe 25 to 50% of that, right? And granted, it may be your relationships that's maybe keeping you up at night, but a lot of times, hey, am I going to be able to retire That's keeping me up at night. Hey, I got this
Mm.
credit card debt. Man, that's keeping me up at night. So ask yourself that, y'all, like, how many times are you laying in the bed with your eyes fixated on the ceiling and you thinking about some type of financial situation, right? So I think it has a huge impact on your mental health. And then that's just while you're sleeping. God forbid we get into
Yeah.
your day-to-day scenario, and so many of the decisions that we have to make. And I'm using myself for example here. Like, okay, I got 2 kids in AAU. I got one playing volleyball. I got going to a personal trainer. Okay, we still need to eat. My wife had a health condition. I had to retire her. Every decision I'm making is almost has some type of financial impact on it, right? Before we got on this call today, Leandra, I'm over at my parents' house. My mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She's 2 years into that thing now. Just had a issue here this past week where she broke her back. So I'm in there with her and my dad, and we trying to figure things out. And it's like, oh goodness, we need full-time home health care. That's a financial decision, right? I know insurance is going to kick in, but now, okay, what additional do we need to kick into that? So many of the decisions that we make day to day have some type of financial implication to it. Hence why, if you don't have a framework of how you're going to make this decision, it's going to give you anxiety. That anxiety is that fear of the unknown. Oh my God, how am I going to get this done? Right. So, yes, it has a huge part on your mental health, because if you think about it, how many decisions that you make throughout the day are financial decisions, whether it's going to Mr. Heroes, shout out to Mr. Heroes, what I'm saying, going to get you a Roman burger, a cheeseburger, right? Or it's like, ooh, I don't have gas in the tank. So, hey, we can't go to Ocean Club because I only got $25 to my name. And I got so many decisions that we make throughout the course of the day are financial decisions. So when you don't have a framework that you can lean back on and be like, okay, we're good because I know I have these buckets are satisfied and we've done this, and yes, we can do this. That system or that framework is what gives our clients peace of mind. And literally, clients, I've in my 20 years, I've had multiple clients contact me or reach out to me like, Perry, that broke me down in tears, or I'm giving them a recommendation. And then it was never a recommendation of like, oh my God, Perry, you gave me the best stock idea on the planet. Thank you so much. Ain't nobody crying over that. But what brings people to tears is when you help alleviate that stress of a financial decision they need to make. And when they feel that relief, like, oh, I don't have to worry about that no more. That's when tears come. So yes, your finances have a huge impact on your mental health. My bad. I
Thank you
told you,
so much.
I get long-winded. I apologize.
No, I love it. Thank you. And I greatly appreciate you pointing that out, and definitely wanting to take a moment to send well wishes and healing prayers to your mother.
Thank you.
So, yes, thank you. If we could please, many of us have heard the phrase bridging the wealth gap. Could you please take a moment to explain what that means and especially how it pertains to our communities of color?
Yeah, for sure. Let me jump into the ladder and then I'll work my way back. You don't have to believe me, listeners. Go to Google and type in the year 2053 and the word wealth gap. You're going to find multiple articles that are going to say by the year 2053, but it is projected by the year 2053 that the Black and brown community will have a median net worth of zero. Not this ain't my data. This is the data that is out there, right? So what does that mean, a median net worth of zero? That means kind of when you take those averages and the folks who got it and the folks who don't have it, and we start to compile that data, that Black and brown people have a zero net worth, right? And net worth is your assets, minus your liabilities, which means that some people have negative net worth, some people have positive net worth, but when we start to compile all of that data is zero. So this is super scary, right? When you start to think about that, because when you have zero net worth, what does that mean? That means you don't have a whole lot of options, right? That means that you're in a functioning from a place of scarcity versus, a place of abundance. Let's talk about crime, right? If we get to a place where you have the folks who got it and the folks who don't have it, we've learned from history, European history and all other kind of history, that when you have that gap in there and you got the kings and queens sitting in a castle and you got the folks out here who ain't got it, we done seen those situations in the past. So when we talk about the wealth gap, what we're talking about is that when you start to look at different demographics of our society, right? You're going to have folks who have a positive net worth, and you have folks who, do not. And it's broken down when you start to look at it actually by race, right? So when you start to look at that whole piece, and when you start to see those numbers, it's actually terrifying. And it's kind of one of our passions, and part of our mission and our vision is to close the wealth gap one relationship at a time, right? So this wealth gap, that's this ensuing wealth gap based upon this data, is really scary. And the crazy thing about it, Leandra, is this: if we were to look at income, because I think a lot of times we don't understand financial language, hence the importance of financial literacy. So when we say wealth gap, what is wealth, right? And then what is net worth versus income? So let me just dive into those real quick, and then we'll get through the rest of the questions. So when we say, hey, a median, a net worth of zero, net worth, again, is assets minus liabilities. And what's left is your net worth. But what we consider wealth is the accumulation of assets that can be converted into passive income in order to cover your lifestyle expense. So essentially, that's financial freedom. So when you don't have wealth, because you haven't accumulated assets to give yourself financial freedom, if you don't have financial freedom, then you have financial slavery, right? So that means that you have no time and or financial freedom. What's bananas about this is that the income gap is getting narrower and the wealth gap is getting wider. I know more people making six figures today than I ever thought I would see, 20 years ago when I first got into the industry. Almost everybody I know was making $85,000 to $150,000 or more. So people are making more money. And I'm not saying by any means that it's equitable in that sense, as far as looking at the different demographics, but the income gap is getting narrower, but the wealth gap is getting wider. And I believe that's because so many of us still don't believe we deserve or have the right to work with a financial professional to help guide us. Because if you're making more income, then you should be accumulating more wealth. But if you don't have a framework that tells you what to do with this new income, then you ain't creating no wealth. Hence, this wealth gap is getting wider by the minute. So when we talk about bridging the wealth gap, that's what we're talking about. And one of my when I share with our community is this, and I learned this in a book, it's the Jewish phenomenon, like I think 7 ways of enduring a people's wealth or something along those lines. But in the book, it really resonated with me. It says that wealth is truly the transfer of information, right? It ain't about, hey, I left you, hey, I'm creating generational wealth because I got life insurance. That's lovely, because you shouldn't be walking around being irresponsible without life insurance. But if you don't transfer some information to the person who receives said life insurance, then they're going to blow that money. And then you did not create generational wealth. You just gave somebody some money to blow and they didn't know what to do with it. So it really comes down to more of an information share. But that's when we talk about bridging this wealth gap, is sharing, learning, unlearning what we know about wealth today, starting to learn wealth principles, and then transferring those principles to the next generation, and then having a framework on what to do with this money that we're making now. So that's my take on that whole bridging the wealth gap piece. There's a lot of different moving parts to it, but try to sum it up as quickly as I could.
Yes, and thank you so much. I think it's so important when you touch on the fact that it is so much more than just making more money and not providing the education on when you pass that down generationally to ensure that it's not gone. So really focusing on creating the generational wealth as well. So thank you for pointing that out. And you spoke to this again, but I would like to retouch on it and see, pretty much just do a deeper dive, because there are people that are reluctant to do financial planning. And one of the reasons we already discussed is thinking that you don't have enough money to do so. But do you find other reasons commonly where people just think, no, I don't want to do this? Maybe it's almost along the lines of, no, I don't need to do any estate planning, that kind of thing.
Yeah, great question. The reason I'm over here smirking, I just did a post inside our community on this topic. So after 20 years of being in this space, I think I have a pretty good amount of data to determine why, people don't move forward or haven't, or they're reluctant to move forward to meeting with a financial planner. And I correlate it to this. This is my analogy. I think people are just as reluctant to go into the doctor, right? When you have wealth issues, you typically have health issues. Let's put that, let me put that out there real quick, right? So people are typically reluctant to go into the doctor, right? Man, I don't want that colonoscopy, or I don't want that prostate exam, or you know what, I'm just gonna, do this over here. And right. So people reluctant to go to the doctor. And when you go to the doctor and you have to, hey, these are my issues, the doctor's gonna ask you, so what have you been doing? Right. So tell me what drugs you've been taking. Are you drinking alcohol? Are you smoking cigarettes? Do you exercise? So you actually got to be forthright and totally honest and transparent with this doctor if you want to get help. And then what may end up happening, and the reason I'm laughing, is because at some point in time, that doctor may say, man, you need to drop your pants. Pull your pants down, please. We got to examine some stuff. That's embarrassing, right? But if you got to get, if that's what you got to do, right? So a lot of folks won't go to the doctor because they're embarrassed. I find the exact same thing when it comes to people's finances. When people start to work with us, and we ask them, and we say, yo, why did it take you so long to rock with us? Because I hear this all the time. Perry, I know I need to get with you. Perry, I'm going to get with you. I know I need to get with you. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me, I know I need to get with you, I would be a multi-millionaire right now. That's how often I hear it daily, right? Well, when they finally get with us, we ask the question, so why did it take you so long to get with us? You know, we're dope. We know we're good at what we do. You know, we're going to take care of you, all these things, right? And it's like, I was just so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed about the debt I had. I was so embarrassed that I don't understand. I'm embarrassed because I don't understand money. Because I'm financially illiterate. I'm embarrassed. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, you can't be embarrassed, right? Well, let me take that back. Embarrassment, and especially as we kind of tie this to mental health, is a natural feeling. But my thought on it is this: I would trade short-term embarrassment for long-term success 100% of the time. So I believe part of the reluctancy, other than, hey, I'm not worthy of working with a financial advisor, I don't have enough money or wealth or income to work with a financial advisor. What I find more times than not is folks are just flat out embarrassed. They like, man, like when you have a conversation with somebody and they, they're making 150,000, or they're, was just voted 40 for 40, or they're on the cover of Business First. And, everybody like, oh my gosh, they're killing it. So-and-so business did 1.2. And then when I lift up the hood and they only got like $1 saved, they're embarrassed. Right. So a lot of times that embarrassment stops people from getting help. And again, we've all been there. I've been in my industry 20 years and I've made some atrocious financial missteps, right? And I learned from those. And because I learned from those, I can then share those with my clients, right? So I'm quick to tell people like, yeah, prior to 2007, the market crash in 2000, 2009, I had a $4 million real estate portfolio. You may have saw me driving around the city in an all-white Jaguar and an all-white Navigator, right? But because I didn't have some systems and things in place, I ended up losing it all during that time frame, right before my daughters were born, right? And I share this because we got to be transparent with each other. Sometimes people think the financial advisor has never made any mistakes. If I told you how many financial advisors have filed bankruptcy, your mind would be blown. Or how many financial advisors are broke, your mind would be blown if I could share that data with you, right? So for our listeners, it's embarrassment. Don't be embarrassed. We're all human. We're all learning as we go. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. You know what I'm saying? If you're in Mexico and you don't speak Spanish, right? That means you're technically illiterate in that country. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Go ask help. Start to learn the language. Find an interpreter who can help you out, right? And then start to build that piece. So that's why I believe so many people are reluctant, is because of that embarrassment. And that's 20 years of data.
Thank you so much. That actually makes a lot of sense, and definitely speaks to the fact that you can't not be upset that you don't know it until you actually seek the help to get to know it. It's not something that's automatic. A lot of us aren't taught in schools anymore how to manage finances and manage money. So that absolutely makes sense.
Yep. And then to your
If we, yeah,
mhm.
go ahead.
Oh,
No, go
oh,
ahead.
and to your point about what we even taught in school, right? So I remember coming out of high school. So I came into high school. I'm going to date myself here. I graduated high school in '94, right? And I remember there was like a little business class, and I
Hmm.
remember sitting in one of them. And even with this one class, even when I was substitute teaching and teaching before I moved down here, they were teaching folks on just, hey, how do you read your paycheck, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, and then how do you balance a checkbook? Definitely some tools to learn. But I didn't learn about credit till I was dang near 30 years old. I didn't learn about creating wealth or accumulating assets or passive income and whatnot until I had graduated from college with 2 degrees, right? So yeah, in school, they're still, what I'm saying, and I know they're doing a better job because I've done some talks for Ohio State here recently with some of the high schools. But learning that, getting that financial literacy down that's not being taught. The majority of us are walking around financially illiterate, not knowing the difference between a savings account and a checking account, not knowing the difference between a CD and a mutual fund, not knowing the difference between an asset and liability. Just these basic it's a basic foundational financial literacy terms we don't know. If I ask somebody, say, hey, what was the ROI or return on investment on that? I have no idea. Hey, what's the tax implications on that? I have no idea, right? So that financial literacy piece is a huge component of this wealth gap. And also, too, probably one of the reasons a lot of folks are reluctant to work with a financial planner, because a lot of times, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but the majority of financial advisors, and again, me coming being in the industry 20 years, don't speak the language of the people who need it the most. So I've
Mm,
been in a room with financial advisors and they're talking up here and speaking a whole different dialect that people don't know. So the person who needs help, who's working their butt off, got some money, want to take care of the family, want to retire, want to do these things, and you walk in the room and people are talking all the way over your head, that makes you even feel more embarrassed, right? You know what I'm saying? Or like, oh my gosh, cautious. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. And I tell them, it's like, I'll use this analogy again. If you walked into a room with surgeons, if you're not a medical professional, you don't know what they're talking about, but you sure better be able to come to the table and say, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but I sure need some help because I got this cancer over here, or I got this leg that's falling off and I need some help. But most financial professionals cannot speak in basic layman terms in order to help the people. And it drives me crazy with this industry. And I've been in it 20 years. So I just have to kind of
mhm.
interject that in there before we move on to the next question.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for pointing that out because that makes a huge difference, especially as we're talking about a wealth gap. And if I can't understand how to create it, then that right there. So thank you. That makes sense. If you could please speak to anchoring bias. This is a term that maybe not a lot of people have heard of or understand, but how does that affect the ways that we handle our finances?
Actually, I don't know what anchoring bias is either, but I think I got an idea when I idea. So let me jump in. So this this is my thought, right? When I'm a pretty sharp dude, I say anchoring bias. So I understand anchoring, something that we've kind of said, hey, this is what we believe in. So I'm anchoring to this, and then there's bias, how we view things, you know what I'm saying, from our particular lens, right? So when you ask that, I'm like, huh, anchoring bias. This leads me to something that we discussed called a money story. All right. So what I mean by money story is this: we are all walking around right now with a financial DNA, right? So we know what physical DNA is. Like the reason I'm 6'3" with black hair and brown eyes is because my mom has some DNA, my dad has some DNA, they got together, and I got a little bit of this. You know what I'm saying? I got my fun personality from my mom, I got my hustle from my dad, right? These are things, you know what I'm saying, I got genetically, right? Well, when you talk about your financial DNA, that's what you also got genetically. Not in a sense of, hey, how you think in your mind, but what you saw and learned from your parents, their parents, and the community. So when we kind of think about this anchoring bias, it's kind of the way I think about it is how we've always done it. and this is how we should do it, or how we view money. So what we have our clients do is go through an exercise before they start to work with us and say, hey, we need to unpack your money story, because I can give you a ton of strategies and things that you can do and implement, right? But if you don't implement it, well, what would be the reason for you not to implement it? So let me take a step back here and kind of give a real life example. I'll use myself. When I look at my money story, I learned how to manage money by watching what my parents did and a little bit of kind of grandparents, right? But what I learned from my dad, we never had a conversation about saving, investing, buying real estate, retirement. That was never a conversation at our kitchen table. What I learned about finances from my dad was have more than one hustle. Have you A, B, C, and D hustle. So my anchoring bias or my money story, I'm anchored in, man, just go out and make more money. You ain't making enough money, go out and get another hustle, right? Have another 2 or 3 hustles. So if something happened with hustle 1, you still got hustle 2, 3, and 4, right? That led me to kind of go into hustle mode as an adult. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm down. Let me just go hustle. It was never save, be prudent, analyze, and see if this makes the best financial sense. No, it's like, oh, just hustle and go make more money. My mom on the other side, you know what I'm saying, was the creator. What I joke around, say she should create a YOLO. You know what I'm saying? You'll only live once. We're going to get it right now. Oh, you training for basketball and you need a paved driveway. I'm gonna put that on a credit card right now, $10,000 swipe, bow, right? She managed credit, you know, see, she managed credit phenomenally, phenomenal credit score, but it was never a, well, let's save to get this thing. It's like, oh no, we got credit. We're gonna buy it right now and we'll figure out how to get it paid. So we're gonna hustle because dad got 10 hustles. Mom got about 3 or 4 hustles, right? She had great credit. So we always got the credit card paid off, right? You know what I'm saying? But that was her gift, was kind of managing that whole piece and managing the debt piece. So what does that do for my kind of anchoring bias or my money story? I'm out here YOLO. What? Buy it. What? Buy it. There was no framework around, hey, so we want to go on vacation. We know it's $5,000. Let me put away $500 a month or $1,000 a month. It's like, nope, buy it, right? Those two are kind of like, that's part of my money story. And when people start to actually analyze their money story, how they view money, how they manage money, it comes down to their financial DNA. And they're like, you know what? My dad didn't believe in investing, so I don't believe in investing. And it actually goes back way deeper than that. I did a podcast episode on it when we even go back to post-slavery time, when we're kind of talking about people of color and things of that nature, right? When you start to break this down, so super quick, I'll get through it here because I know we're limited on time, but I just want to share it. Doing things the way we've always done it. It's a story about cooking a ham. And I'm going to butcher the story that I'm going to tie it to kind of this whole other piece. So the story is like, hey, we got this ham and we always cut off half of it, cut off this side of it and this side of it, and we cook it, you know what I'm saying? And we boil it and cook it in a pan. And this happened for generations, right? And then it got to kind of the most modern, you know what I'm saying, generation. They said, yo, why do we always cut off this half and this half? You know what I'm saying? A quarter of the ham. Well, that's how we've always done it. Okay. So then they went back to mom and them, grandmom and them, and got to like great grandmom and them. Hey, why do we do this? Oh, we did this because the kid is trying to figure out why are we throwing away all this meat. They said, well, we did this because we didn't have a pot big enough to put the whole thing in. So we had to cut it in order for it to fit into the pot. So that was passed on from generation to generation. This is just how we've always done it. Right. And unfortunately, that happens when it comes to money. So if we go to immediately post Civil War, in that time frame right there, you had a bank that was brought to fruition called Freeman's Bank. And the Freeman's Bank was for the recently freed slaves, for them to have a banking system to put their money, because up to this point, they weren't being paid for the work. Now they're getting paid for their work via sharecroppers or starting on businesses. So they're putting all of this money into the bank, right? Well, there was a little recession that hit not too far, you know what I'm saying, after that time frame, and people started going to the bank like, hey, I need to pull my money out. They found out that the bank was completely empty. The chairman of the bank had given all the money away to all of the former slave masters, right? Then they brought in
Wow.
Frederick Douglass to come in and be like, man, can you fix this? Frederick Douglass go back to Congress like, yo, there's nothing to fix. There's no money here. So I'm telling this story because I'm going to show you kind of this anchoring bias and why there's this mistrust of the financial system. If you're the father who's been busting your butt to take care of your family, right? And you go to get your money that you've been told to put into the bank, because that's what you're supposed to do. And you go there and none of your money is there. When you go back home and you have to look your wife and kids in the face, and your wife like, baby, and you like, all our money is gone. Guess what? Now we don't trust the banks. We don't trust banks. We don't trust stockbrokers. We don't trust the system because of, and then when that's passed on from generation to generation, I deal with it today in 2023, where folks will be like, I just hope you don't steal my money, Perry. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you. And I only hear that from Black and brown folks. Never heard this from any of my, my white clients at all. So again, that trust in the financial system. So another reason, if going back to your first question about why are people reluctant, embarrassed, but also to trust. I should have added that to it. I didn't think about that too. We got into that piece, but that trust piece. So again, if you don't believe the financial system is for you, and you're passing that down from generation to generation, hey, don't keep your money in the bank. Hey, don't trust the banks. Hey, you can't trust these financial advisors. Hey, you can't trust these stockbrokers. Hey, you can't trust the insurance agents. It's a whole nother similar story about insurance, but I'm gonna get into that piece just in the time that we have here. But yeah, there are some biases, right? And that's why it's a matter of unlearning a lot of the stuff that we've been taught, because obviously it ain't working. If it was working, it wouldn't be a wealth gap. That's why as it is. And being in 2053, medium, a net worth. So what we currently know doesn't work. So we need to unlearn that. And then I can't say relearn, but start to now learn wealth principles that we can pass on from generation to generation.
Thank you very much. That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And I like how you tied the story together, because it helps to have a real life situation where we can all apply it to it. Yeah. And I'm sure that even over time, all of us in some form of fashion have said, that looks sketchy. I don't trust that. I'm not going to do that. So Thank you for highlighting that.
Absolutely.
If we could take a small pivot to discuss the pandemic. During the pandemic, there were an increase in individuals wanting to start their own businesses. Can you please discuss the importance of financial planning, especially for our entrepreneurs and small and emerging business enterprises?
Yeah, for sure. So again, kind of going back to my definition of financial planning as being a framework in order to make financial decisions. Well, when you have a 9-to-5 job, right? And it's not, and hey, y'all, I'm not hating on 9-to-5 jobs whatsoever. You're going to find some people on social media like, you can't do this, 9-to-5, you got to have a business. Nope, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am going to do is kind of, I'll use myself as an example. So when I was working for some of the largest wealth managers in the world, companies in the world, right? I didn't have to worry about marketing. I didn't have to worry about my marketing budget. I didn't have to worry about operations. All I had to do was just show up, give my advice, turn in my paperwork, and get paid. Well, when I stepped out here to do it on my own, now I got to worry about my marketing budget. I got to worry about operations. I got to figure out this tech stuff that's happening in the background. I got to figure out this over here. Oh my gosh, now I got business taxes I need to file. So it was a whole nother skill set that I had to learn, that as a traditional financial advisor dealing with, stocks and insurance and investments and things of that nature, that is not the same as running a business. So for our business owners out there, you need a framework to allow yourself to make what we call data-driven decisions more than anybody else in the world, because every decision you make impacts the bottom line, which is how you're going to make money and have some profit to create wealth. Hence, one of the reasons I became a mastery level profit first professional was to help businesses manage their cash flow. Because if you can't manage your cash flow, you can't create any wealth. And the irony behind it here is this. It was listed, found an article as around 2017. It said that in 2017, the number one driver of whether or not you were going to have wealth in the United States became entrepreneurship. prior to 2017, according to this article, the number one driver of whether or not you were going to have wealth was inheritance. So let that sink in. It Whether you was going to have wealth or experience wealth was based upon what you got from mom and them, grandma and them, the land, the insurance, the things of that nature. Well, it flipped roles, and now the number one driver is entrepreneurship. So during the pandemic, when folks was laid off or they had working from home and they decided, hey, I'm gonna jump to this side hustle. Heck yeah, let's get it, because that is the number one driver. But you got to get it right. Right. So do you have a business or do you have a hustle? Right. Do you have infrastructure? Do you have bookkeeping? Is your taxes on point? Are you commingling funds? You know what I'm saying? Do you know what commingling funds is? Right. Are you paying yourself? So we love the fact that people jumped into entrepreneurship, but you gotta do it right. Right. So because if you do it right, it is a phenomenal way to create wealth. But to answer your question specifically, why is it important for financial planning for entrepreneurs? It's probably 10x more important, because if I'm just at my job, I know what I make every paycheck, you know what I'm saying, minus commissions. I know what I make, so I can plan on that. When you're an entrepreneur, I had this conversation with my daughters. I might have a month where we do 50,000. I might have a month where we did nothing. So I have to have a framework or a financial plan in place, because I need to be able to navigate that and not lose sleep at night and have it impact my mental health and give me crazy anxiety, because I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had to have a framework to do, hey, this is what I do, my framework or my plan when we have good months and we have bad months. I spread that money over those months, right? So again, that's a financial plan, managing your cash flow. So super important for those folks, entrepreneurs. So even more so important, because you now have so many other considerations to do with the money, and every decision you make is impacting the paper. So you got to have a financial plan.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And you've mentioned a bit before, but as we are looking to find the education pieces out there, how we can better manage our money, can you please advise of some different ways we can do that?
Yeah. I'll speak for myself. I always like to use myself as an example so people know, like, I'm a real dude. So I'm from Akron, Ohio originally, right? My parents grinded, you know what I'm saying? Hindsight being 2020, I think we were lower middle class, but I didn't know. I was in the hood, right? So all I know was I had both my parents in the crib. I didn't have to worry about food, and all my homies came to my crib for breakfast because they knew my mom was gonna be making, scrambled eggs and bacon. So that's where I'm from. I didn't learn about investing, saving for that matter, saving, investing, wealth creation. I learned that on my own. And when I say I learned that on my own, I graduated with 2 degrees, a degree in mathematics and a minor in biology. Right. So I graduate, I come home, and my first exposure to any of these, wealth principles was when I joined a network marketing company at the time. So it's like, it was Quick Start, which is like Amway Online. So this is back in 1999. And from there, I didn't make any money in the business, but they had this book of the week, right? Well, book of the month. And I started reading these books and just got my mind blown of, oh, residual income. You could do something once and get paid on it time and time again, or leverage, right? You know what I'm saying? Learn how to use leverage, you know what I'm saying? Or investing in the market and being able to purchase this stock and experience and compound interest, and how be able to make an investment, and that investment starts to grow on itself, and it starts to be, snowballing to this nest egg, right? I didn't learn none of that. I didn't learn none of that in college. I didn't learn none of that from home. So first thing is, y'all read. Read. I know folks, books is kind of going out of favor right now because you got YouTube and IG and all of that. Nothing replaces a dang on book. Now, I do got Audible, you know what I'm saying? So I listen to my books. If you see me at the gym on the treadmill, I'm either watching a YouTube or I'm listening to a book. So first of all, read. Okay. Second one, you do have resources like YouTube and things of that nature. Not saying that everything on YouTube is correct, but really you just need to listen to stuff and start to hear some concepts, and then start to ask more questions, right? So you start to understand when you hear leverage, or somebody talking about ROI, or someone talking about becoming your own bank, or the difference between a 401k or an IRA. Even if they have, you listen to, some of these folks who have conflicting views, it still puts you in a place to start asking questions, because that's where you want to get to. You want to read, understand some concepts. You want to hear some different points of view, right? And start asking those questions. Now, that leads to the next thing, mentorship. Mentorship. I built a $4 million real estate portfolio off of a mentor. Literally, it was one of my clients. I was his personal trainer. I took him out for $1.50 cup of coffee, let you know how long ago that was. I said, man, what are you doing? He said, man, I'm in real estate. I said, man, show me what you're doing. He laid it out to me. He like, hey, this is what I'm doing right here. I said, got it. I'm a smart dude, right? I believe everybody is smart. I tell my kids this, nobody is smarter than you. You know what I'm saying? We all either learn different or somebody is exposed to some information that you haven't been exposed to. But I just don't believe nobody is smarter than somebody. They just know something you don't know. So go find somebody who know what you don't know and purchase some of their time to learn what you don't know. $1.50 cup of coffee turned into a $4 million real estate portfolio for me back in 2001, right? And then the other piece to it is hire a professional. Hire a professional team. Hire you a professional accountant, professional financial advisor. Hire professionals, people who are dope and really good at what they do. Don't talk over your head, meet you where you are, and somebody that you can partner up with. So we used to kind of break that down. Read, get your financial literacy up. YouTube and social media, follow folks with different views so you can start asking questions and starting to critical think. Don't just go off of what this one dude or this one chick said on IG. They might not be telling you everything that you need to know. Get you a mentor. Find somebody who's at a level that you would like to be at and purchase some of their time, whether it's exchange of time, you take them to breakfast, cup of coffee, whatever the case may be. And then eventually get out of your own way and hire you a professional to rock with. And you want to hire somebody who's going to be there with you long-term, not one of these transactional clowns who just going to take your money, make a commission and bounce. Hire somebody who's going to be in the weeds with you, right? Somebody that you can build a relationship with. So that's how I would go about advising somebody on that question.
Yes, thank you so much for breaking that down. Absolutely. If we can please discuss the different resources that Diamond Equity Advisors has to assist in financial planning, and what does that look like for individuals and businesses?
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for that. What I decided to do when I went independent. So for those who don't understand, or of those who maybe aren't privy to it, this is how we're set up. So Diamond Equity Advisors is an investment advisory firm. So we're not just a name, we're actually a state registered investment advisory firm who has to adhere to FINRA and SEC guidelines. So the difference between an advisory firm and a broker dealer, just so you guys know, your broker dealers, kind of like your Merrill Lynch's and your big firms like that. Broker dealers are typically trying to sell product and they make the commission on those products. Investment advisory firms are actually making their money off of advice. Now, we all can offer product and all offer advice. Just our lead-in is we don't make any recommendations without first somebody first investing in the plan so we can get them good direction, because your financial plan is your blueprint to your house. You want to start out building a house without first having a blueprint. So I just want to kind of level set with that, and then I'll answer your question here. So under our umbrella of different companies that we have, first place, go to our free Facebook community. It is called Cash Flow Unlocked. Just go to facebook.com/groups/Cash Flow Unlocked. I go in there and do a weekly training every Thursday at 2 p.m. And those recordings stay there for you can go and watch them anytime you want to. We have effectively created kind of a financial Netflix inside that community. You can ask questions and get answers from real professionals who actually do the dang on thing. You can learn concepts, get all this information you can for free. And I know some of my peers will be like, man, P, you're just giving all it away for free? Heck yeah, I'm giving it away for free, because you need to get your head wrapped around this. So it's a community. It's called Cash Flow Unlocked. Go there. It's all totally free. Plug in, and learn some concepts and ask your questions and get your questions answered in real time. Now, we offer that because we know we need a point of entry for folks to build their trust and also to grow their financial literacy. Then a step up from there, we specialize in working with business owners as far as, creating permanent profitability in the business and turning your business into a wealth generator. So we offer a group coaching program for entrepreneurs. That program is called PASS. That's an acronym for our profit, accelerator small business system. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to know how to structure your business, how to manage your cash flow, and what systems you need to implement depending on where you are in your journey, you have that as an option as well. So that's a group coaching deal. We work with you one-on-one, but we also had an option to do some group coaching as well. Then we have the opportunities to work with us one-on-one. So we have some clients, our business owners, where we're their CFO. We have about 5 of those businesses where we're actually their chief financial officer. And then we have individuals where we're their personal CFO, we're their financial advisor. So we're working one-on-one with those individuals and really helping them navigate and make those decisions in real time. Okay. So those are all of the avenues that we have for people to work with us. I tell people out the gate, you probably don't want to work with the first financial advisor you sit down and talk to, right? You want to definitely, same way if you were finding your doctors or finding a spouse for that matter, you know what I'm saying? You kind of want to, hey, let me, you know what I'm saying, test the waters here. So get this free information, right? And at that point in time, if we've gained your trust and you see value, and then you want to reach out and kind of look at how we can help you either in a group format or working one-on-one. If you're in our ecosystem, we'll be able to help you there. But literally, I have calls with clients sometimes, but prospects sometimes. And I'm like, hey, we're probably not a good fit right now to work together, but please join the group and get this free information, because that's how we're going to help close the wealth gap. Because we said this earlier, that wealth is transportable, which means it's the information. If I can put you up on a concept or a strategy or a wealth hack that the 10% of the population who's controlling 90% of the wealth knows, and I can put you onto it, even if you can't implement it today, you can at least be like, yo, that's what I'm going to do. I just need to save some more money so I can implement that. So those are the different ways for people to work with us. Thank you so much for asking that question.
Absolutely. And thank you for detailing that information, especially the free resources that are available to our community. That is so helpful, and greatly appreciate your time. This has been a fantastic conversation. I cannot thank you enough for really just breaking it out as to what financial planning is, first of all, and why we need it so much. So thank you so much for your time and for joining us. We will be sure to share the resources that you outlined on our Commissioner's Facebook page so that our residents can access that as well. And I definitely look forward to also looking into those resources. So I greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Such an important topic, especially with mental health month and things of that nature, because we know that this, our finances is a huge driver of our mental health, anxiety, and stress. So thank you so much for the platform. Thank you to the county for doing this piece, and any way we can support, we're here to help move this needle and help as many people as we can. So thank you for the opportunity. We're humbled and happy to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you. And that is a fantastic way to end our session today. So please, everyone, take care. Take care of your mental wealth as well as your finances. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Peace.